stream. This will probably be about a 15 to maybe 20-minute live stream. I'm going to be going over what we're looking at on the radar right now, because there isn't obviously anything in DFW, but there's something to kind of monitor here over the next hour, which may be something that might bring some storms here to the Metroplex at some point this evening. But at this point, there hasn't been any storms in North Texas, and it's been fairly, we've seen clouds building and then they just don't build. So, I'm going to kind of break down what's going on right now. Will there actually be severe weather tonight? Everything that you need to know. I'm going to give you guys about 20 seconds to get into the stream and we'll kind of get started. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat. I'll get to them at some point in this live stream. But there's obviously still a little bit to watch tonight, just in case a storm does develop. We could maybe see the cap break at some point within the next hour. I would say after 7:30 or so, we are basically clear. But as of right now, we have not seen anything develop in North Texas per se. But we've seen some storms develop in Oklahoma, which was something that was expected to happen. Now, again, the cap could weaken at any time. It's weak at this point. It's not completely gone, so we can't just see storms develop, out of nowhere. But I'll kind of show you what's going on the radar right now and everything that you know. So as of right now, North Texas, mostly northern DFW is under a severe thunderstorm watch. This goes until 9 p.m. tonight, so obviously anything after 9 p.m. we're not going to really see any severe weather after then, just mainly due to the fact daylight heating will expire and we'll start to see the cap come back, and any storms that are existent by 9 o'clock will be weakened or weakening. You can see the potential of tonight is for baseball-sized hail if any of these storms develop and break through the cap. It's still a big if right now, and also potential for damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour does exist as well. And that's kind of what we're looking at this point. The storms will be moving about 35 miles per hour or so to the east-northeast. So as of right now, the only storms on the radar are not in North Texas, and this is for what our system is at this point, anything along the dry line. The only storms right now have developed in Oklahoma, and this has been within the last hour. So the cap is weakened in Oklahoma. That obviously doesn't translate to Texas, but the cap has weakened there with the temperatures getting warm enough to break through that cap. Now here in DFW, the temperature that we need for the cap to kind of just be able to completely be gone at that point would be about 90 degrees or so, and we're not really there yet. I think Denton is currently 88. The temperature as of 3 o'clock was about 94 degrees. It would have to have been for storms to develop. Now it has to be about 90 degrees for us to see that cap kind of be at least to the point where we can start to see storms developing, which we've obviously not seen that yet in DFW. I believe the current temperature and the warmest temperature in the Metroplex right now is 88 degrees. Let me go ahead and let me fact check that real quick because I'm not entirely sure. So 88 degrees right now in Denton from the METAR report at 5:53. So that was about 30 minutes ago. Obviously, the temperature may have changed from then. Let's go ahead and check out the other temperature real quick. And let's kind of get the fill on here. And you can kind of go ahead and see that the temperature as of right now says about 86. But the METAR says 88, so I'm going to go with the METAR because that's more accurate data usually. But as you can kind of see, the temperature's not at the point where the cap is basically gone and we can just see storms firing up. So that's kind of the problem right now. If the temperatures were 5 degrees warmer right now all across North Texas, we'd be looking at probably a severe weather outbreak, but they're not. So that's obviously a good thing that we're not seeing that. We could very well, again, see a storm over the next hour or two that develops and forms with a weaker cap, and we could definitely see baseball-sized hail and damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour out of a cell or two. But at this point, as of right now, we've not seen any developments. It's 6:24 p.m. We have probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half until it's basically time to say we're not going to see any severe weather tonight, because once the sun sets, we're not going to see any sort of heat to be able to generate that cap, to be able for this the temperatures at the lower surface to be able to overcome that cap. I'll kind of break down what the cap is in just a second, just for some of you that are new and don't understand what the cap is. What is a cap? Is that the thing that you wear on your head? No, it's not. It's basically a warm layer of air above the initial warm air at the surface, and I'll kind of show you a diagram in a second so it makes a bit more sense. But yeah, that's as of right now what we're looking on the radar. There's obviously been some baseball-sized hail already in southeastern Oklahoma, in areas southeast of Oklahoma City. This is the area that is producing baseball-sized hail right now, which is, again, that would be our threat right now if we were seeing storms. At this point, we're not seeing any storms, so that's obviously a good thing. All right, let's go ahead and get into the future radar and as well as the cap, and I'll kind of explain what that is and kind of give you an idea. Let's go and explain the cap real quick, and then I'll show you the future and what we're looking at for the potential severe weather outbreak for tomorrow, because tomorrow almost seems certain that we'll see a severe weather outbreak. But I'll show you that in just a second. Let me go to this and do that, and let's go to the other tab. There it is. All right, here's a look at the soundings from today. So this is something that is kind of what the cap is. So you can kind of see, kind of hard to show. Let me put in another tab here. We'll put this one in another tab. All right, so here's the sounding data. This is basically the National Weather Service launches balloons up every day to kind of determine what the weather is, you know, across the atmosphere at any given point. So you can kind of see on this diagram, it's a little bit small, but down here on the left, so I'm going to zoom in. You're not going to be able to see the millibar signs and whatnot, but here's your temperature. That's the red line, and the dew point is your green line here, and you kind of follow it up. Now, where is the cap in this picture basically? So the warm air above the surface temperature is right here. That is not far from the surface. That's a few thousand feet up. That's basically where the clouds are capped off at, because the warm layer above the clouds in between the cold and warm layer. So that's kind of what we're looking at in this picture. So it's 71 degrees at the surface. Here up in the atmosphere, you can see that's probably right around 20 degrees Celsius or so, which is again not, you know, as warm as the surface, but it's warmer than that little layer in between. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of the cap. This was observed at about 7 this morning. Now if we go to the latest sounding, which was at 3 p.m., you can see the cap is much weaker. I mean, there's not as much of a temperature inversion here when it goes left to right. So that's kind of what we're looking at when it comes to a cap. And you can clearly see that the temperature is completely, I mean, it's 80 degrees at the surface. And what we would need is probably to be right around 80, like about 89 to 91 degrees for that cap to weaken at this current time. So, and we still haven't hit that threshold. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind. Obviously, it's a much more, I'll make a video on it with a much more detailed explanation, but that's just kind of a brief one to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. All right, let's take a look at the future radar and everything that you need to know about the severe weather potential for tomorrow, because that's obviously more important, because I think the worst severe weather potential will be tomorrow. We're looking at probably the same threats as today, but even maybe a bit more enhanced than what we're looking at across the board. So temperatures tomorrow will wake up into the low 70s. Eventually, by about the afternoon, we will warm up into the low to mid 80s, maybe some upper 80s back off to the west where it's drier. Take a look at the potential for tomorrow. We have an enhanced risk of severe weather for tomorrow, so this is obviously something to take a bit more seriously than today. Anyone in DFW has that potential for some hail up to the size of baseballs. Damaging winds up to 70 to 75 miles per hour is also possible, and a tornado or two will also be possible tomorrow afternoon. And it's going to be the same time frame as well, so we will not be looking at the same threats as today. So, but it will be kind of a similar time, and I'll show you that in just a second. But again, that enhanced risk exists across all of DFW and North Texas. Also back off to the west coast areas like Graham, Eastland, and Wichita Falls are all kind of on the line of the slight to marginal risk. I would expect most of the storms to develop in this area here during the daytime, and they'll eventually move off to the northeast. All right, here's the look at the hail potential. The hatched area means anywhere in that area has a 10% probability within a 25-mile radius of potentially 2-inch diameter hail or greater. So that's an area to watch for that potential large to very large hail tomorrow. And that would include anywhere in the DFW Metroplex. Again, anywhere really in North Texas is included in that, excluding the furthest western counties of North Texas. Tornado outlook for tomorrow, also in the brown shaded region, is your low potential, very low potential back off to our west. Again, a low threat does exist. If we see a tornado or two, we might see one that's strong. So just keep that in mind for tomorrow. All right, let's take a look at your latest timing for tomorrow. A couple of isolated showers and maybe an isolated storm similar to what we saw this morning might be possible during the late morning and early afternoon tomorrow. That will not really affect our weather by any means. By 3 to 4 o'clock, we'll start to see discrete supercells starting to form, and we might only see one. We could see maybe 2 to 3. The widespreadness of this is still a bit of a question mark, but we will at least see a couple of storms, it looks like, sometime during the mid-afternoon hours. So right around 3 o'clock, storms will form back out west of I-35. By about 5 o'clock, you can see that one storm near Waco producing at least very large hail and maybe a tornado threat. By 6 o'clock, maybe a storm or two developing closer to DFW. 7 o'clock, these storms move through the Metroplex. Eventually, by 8 to 9 o'clock, most of this should start to weaken due to the daylight heating kind of expiring again, and then by 10, 11 o'clock, most of that weakens out. Overnight hours will stay dry up until about 4 to 5 in the morning. A little line of storms will develop. That also might pose a threat for quarter-sized hail and damaging wind gusts, but no tornado threat is expected with that, at least for DFW. And here's a look at what we're looking at Wednesday. So the potential for severe weather exists anywhere across DFW. Marginal risk for DFW. Eastern DFW, a slight risk. Enhanced risk in eastern northeastern Texas. There might be a moderate risk for areas well back out to our east going into Wednesday. So that'll be something to watch for the afternoon hours primarily, but that's not for us. Again, and here's another future radar just so you can get a general picture. A line of storms developing around 5 in the morning Wednesday, eventually moving through eastern DFW, and will eventually clear out by 8 to 9 in the morning, and that's kind of what we're looking at there. All right, that is basically what we're looking at in terms of the forecast. I will, if you have any questions, let me know. Here's a look at the radar again. We're not looking at any sort of threat right now in terms of severe weather, but we could at any time, so just keep that in mind. If you have any pictures, by the way, of the clouds right now, please send them in to me by messages. I don't have really much of a way to see anything that's going on in DFW right now. So if you have a chance and have any photos of the outside, take some pictures. I actually had a picture come in earlier, which is a great example of the cap and what is going on with these clouds, because obviously we've seen some clouds bubble up and they've not really been successful. Let me go ahead and bring up this one that was sent in by Jay. And this is a perfect example of what we're looking at. I mean, you can see the cloud is just like, you can see the cloud built up, but then it just, like, this underneath layer here closer to the surface just completely fizzled out, mainly because the warm layer coming back in under the clouds, which obviously kind of weakened the clouds under there and just kind of fizzling out. That was from a few hours ago in Collin County, but you can kind of get a general idea of that. That's kind of what the cap is sometimes. Clouds try to build up and then they're just unsuccessful. That's what we've seen so far today. And we see this sometimes every year. I mean, as I kind of said before, yesterday, the day before, there's a very low chance that we see severe weather tonight, but if it does happen, we will see significant severe weather. All the environmental parameters are in place. I mean, the instability is through the roof. It's 3,000 joules per kilogram, which is very high. The cap, though, is obviously the factor in which we're not really seeing much severe weather. In comparison to areas up in, I don't even know how to pronounce these cities, but basically anywhere southeast of Stonewall, you can see there's baseball-sized hail falling right now in Oklahoma. So that's what we could be seeing if there wasn't any cap. Obviously, for North Texas, we're currently pretty much, the cap isn't, you know, gone, but it's weak. So we might see a storm develop in the next 30 to 60 minutes, but it's a big question mark still. All right, how will Dent be around 7? That is a good question. I mean, again, any severe weather develops tonight, it's going to be I mean, like, any storms that develop tonight, again, are going to be pretty quickly developing. And what we've seen is some storms trying to build up, but then they just weaken. So if a storm does develop, it's going to be very quick. And there's not really a specific location on where you can expect a storm other than that watch boxed area, which includes any of northern DFW and northeastern DFW tonight. Yeah, anywhere south of this watched area, there might be a storm or two that develop later, but at this point, it looks like it's pretty low risk as well. And they're not included in the watch right now because the cap is a little bit stronger down to the south in comparison to up here, close areas like Sherman and Denton. Yeah, anyone in North Texas has a potential for severe weather tomorrow. So if you're asking for specific locations, just go back and refer to my forecast. They'll give you the most specific details that you can know. Again, you can't really predict if there's going to be severe weather in your town, you know, a day ahead. I mean, you can predict that there might be a chance of it, but can't really predict that it's going to be in your location at the exact time. It's just not possible. Again, if you have any questions, just post them in the chat. I will be on live for a little bit. I'm not sure how long, but as of right now, no severe weather at this time in North Texas. There is severe weather ongoing in part of the watch that includes southern and southeastern Oklahoma. There's baseball-sized hail there. So far, the cap has remained strong enough to the point where storms haven't developed yet. Trying to see if any of these METAR datas are updated yet. Back to this. Haven't seen anything develop quite yet in terms of severe weather. Refresh the METAR data if I can find where it is. The dew points, by the way, if you haven't already looked at the dew points, anyone behind, I'll go ahead and show you the dew points real quick because this is something that's kind of relevant for tonight at least. If you're anywhere west of this green line, basically, or I'll just draw a line. So anywhere west of this black line, you are clear for tonight. The dry line has already moved through your area for tonight, not for tomorrow, but for tonight. Anywhere back to the west of this black line that I just drew is clear from severe weather for tonight. Again, because the dry line has already passed through your location, it's a lot drier out there. Storms will not be able to develop there. Comparison to anywhere in this green shaded region, you have a chance for storms at any time. Again, anywhere between now and about 9 o'clock would be the best chance for any storms. After 9, storms will not be severe. Most likely, at least in DFW. You're welcome, Kay. Appreciate your... Yeah, storms tomorrow will not fire up until about 3 to 4 o'clock, I would say. General estimate. That would probably be the best time frame, would be right around 3 to 4 o'clock. For Frisco area, probably not until 6 or 7, maybe 8. Your area. For tomorrow. Does the dew point have anything to do with the cap? Not really. Not really directly. I mean, it can have an indirect impact, but not really a direct impact. The temperature is the big, the big thing, because when you look at it, I'll kind of draw a little diagram. It's not going to be that good, but here's your temperature, right? Let me go ahead and find a sounding. I'll find a sounding and kind of draw on it real quick. Second. What time does it end tomorrow? If you're in the DFW Metroplex, you won't see any storms after 9. But let me go to a sounding. Because the temperature is the big thing. I mean, if the temperature, again, was around 90, 91 degrees at the surface, we would likely be seeing severe storms popping up right now, but it's not. I mean, it's the highest temperature as of 5:53 is 88. So, I haven't seen anything develop yet. All right, I'll bring up this sounding real quick. This on the screen. Wait, that's not right. Please, image on. Okay. All right, here's an example of a sounding. So I don't know how much I can zoom into this. All right, here's an example of a sounding. Again, the red bar is your temperature. That's the most important thing. So here's the cap again. This is not in DFW, but this is just a cap. That would be an example. So you can see the cap right here. The clouds would be basically stopped from building at 850 millibars, so about a kilometer into the atmosphere. Close to the surface, 86 degrees. The temperature would basically have to be around 40 degrees Celsius almost for severe weather to occur or any storms to develop. So that's basically what we're looking at. You need to kind of draw like a black line out this way, or a line at least to some extent out this way. And I'll kind of show you what the temperature has to be for that cap to basically be overcome. Because the cap isn't going to really weaken naturally. The only way it's going to weaken is from basically temperatures overcoming it. Surface temperatures. So no problem, Eric. Is the cap going to strengthen overnight? Yes. The cap will strengthen by like 8 to 9 o'clock. So any storms that develop within the next hour or two, they will weaken pretty quickly. Because, again, the temperatures will start to drop and the cap will strengthen again. Pretty incredible hail that's falling right now in Oklahoma. There's baseball-sized hail. Up here in Arkansas, there's currently a couple of tornado warnings. There's been already 2 or 3 tornadoes reported up there in northwestern Arkansas. It's been an impactful day there. There's no cap, by the way, in Arkansas, in comparison to here where there is a cap. What factors would prevent tornadoes tomorrow? Or we just toast? I mean, the factors, I mean, we have enough shear, so the low-level shear and, you know, the shear in general is just going to be strong enough for a potential for a couple of tornadoes to exist. It won't be a widespread tornado event, so this is not like everybody's going to see a tornado. It's not anything like that. Maybe 1 or 2 tornadoes will happen tomorrow. And, I mean, it's just because of how much shear we have. The low-level shear should be strong enough to support a couple of tornadoes. And we'll definitely have that potential for supercells tomorrow. Obviously, with the whole setup that we have enough lift. The cap will be pretty weak. But any overnight threat tonight and tomorrow? No. The only, like, morning threat that we have is Wednesday morning between about 5 to 8 in the morning in DFW. Or 4 to 8 in the morning in DFW. But that should be pretty much just damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour or quarter-sized hail at the most. That should primarily be east of I-35. What's the magic temperature to break the cap today? The temperature that I've at least kind of done the math on was around at 3 o'clock. It was about 93 or 94 degrees. I think that's down to about 91 to 92 degrees now. But even then, I mean, we're not even at that temperature yet. There's a possibility that one location might get just above 90 to be able to break it. But as of right now, it's not really. It's not being broken. Tomorrow morning, we'll have a possibility for a couple of isolated showers or isolated weak storm, but that would be about it. Pretty similar to what we saw this morning in DFW. No, widespread. We're not looking at any widespread tornado event. An isolated tornado, again, is possible tomorrow, but that would be it. Isolated. Very isolated. Let me go back to the... I'll just go ahead and... Since we don't have any severe weather on the radar right now, or any storms in general, let's go back to the... radar. I'll go and show you this real quick. So, shows small shows nothing. Let's go to the NAM 3K, or not the NAM, the HRML. So this is kind of give you an idea about tomorrow. So a couple of isolated showers tomorrow, between about 9 to 12 o'clock in the morning, maybe even a little bit after that. But an isolated storm can't be ruled out. That will not really impact our weather for the afternoon hours, unless there's some widespread rain, but I don't think that's not going to happen. By 3 o'clock, you can see a potential for some discrete supercells starts to develop back out to our west of I-35. By 4 o'clock, these storms start to move toward the Metroplex. One kind of fizzle out here on the radar, but by 6, you can see another storm kind of pops up to replace that one, so discrete supercell possible near DFW. Any discrete supercells can produce very large hail and maybe an isolated tornado, and also damaging wind gusts because of the downburst winds. But by 7, 8 o'clock, most of this activity should start to fizzle out by 8 or 9 o'clock, and eventually by 10 or 11, we should dry out here in DFW. And again, going into Wednesday, It's an idea about Wednesday. So storms will develop right around 4 or 5 in the morning. Kind of like a little line of storms, and then eventually they'll start moving through eastern DFW and move out to the east. Thank you, Gage, for the $1.99. I appreciate your support. Donation. You have a freak out last tornado destruct my whole house. No, I mean, there's no, we're not gonna, the tornado threat again is very low. We're not looking at anything widespread. Don't be concerned about a tornado threat. Tonight, don't even be concerned about it. It's at this point, I don't even know if we'll see severe weather tonight. I've kind of already said it. We might see weather, we might not. At this point, we're not really looking at much of a severe weather potential for tonight. But there's, you know, it still exists, and it depends on the next 30 minutes. If we see a storm develop in the next 30 minutes, we might see, you know, a severe weather threat. But at this point, it's a pretty low-end threat. I know tornadoes can happen anywhere, but do you find flat land or yeah, usually flat land does result in a few more more tornadoes. I mean, a bit of a tricky question because it depends on what the situation is, but a lot of the time we'll see when tornadoes develop, they're usually on flatter land, because obviously, you know, on mountains and stuff, like they don't form on mountains usually, but even on hills, I mean, they can develop there too. There isn't, I mean, usually you'll see a tornado almost regardless of the terrain, unless it's like a mountain. Severe weather is complicated. Yeah, it is very complicated. I mean, it takes a while to learn. I've self-taught basically everything I know right now, and that took like, I mean, took a few years time. By the way, if you're new to our stream, make sure to follow us here on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest. We'll be keeping you updated throughout the evening as well as tomorrow on any severe weather that does occur. We're also on Instagram. If you haven't already, make sure to consider becoming a supporter here on Facebook for $4.99 per month. It helps our page out tremendously. No problem, Holly. Appreciate your support. Do you see any tornado tomorrow? No, again, the tornado threat tomorrow, isolated. It's going to be like 1 or 2 tornadoes at the most. So far, we have nothing on the radar. Let me go back to the, I'm going to show you a couple of little factors. Not really anything that's important right now, but this is kind of an idea of what the instability is right now, because there's a lot of instability in the atmosphere. I mean, it's crazy. Here's the surface instability. If it loads, one second. This is the amount of instability that we have in DFW right now, and there's a lot of colors here, but you can kind of get the general picture. Any of these pinks and whites are like 2,500 joules per kilogram or more of instability, which is a high amount. I mean, that's a pretty significant amount for severe weather. And the cap is the main reason why we're not seeing any storm developing, because, I mean, there's a lot of instability, there's a lot of lift, there's not a lot of, there's some shear, mostly in the upper levels, not really in the lower levels, but you can kind of get the general picture. I mean, there's a lot of instability. It's just the cap is the problem. The CIN values are actually in the negatives now, which is pretty favorable for any severe weather development, but or storm development in general. I got a message. One second. All right, here's another picture that was sent in. This one was sent in from Jordan. This is really zoomed in. All right, this is another picture. You can kind of get another idea of where the cap is. It's basically, this is where your cap is. Storms are, I'll give you credit. I mean, the storms are actually bubbling up a little bit more than what they were earlier. So, you know, they're trying to develop. You can kind of see in this picture, they're starting to try to tower up, but here's your cap again. It's kind of, that's where the cloud tops are being topped off at. I mean, you never know. There might be a storm developing at some point here over the next hour. I mean, they're trying to develop. They have been for hours now, but the possibility. Yeah, thank the Lord for the cap. I know. I mean, if there wasn't any cap, we would be looking at an outbreak today. So, I think the storms are going to weaken when they come to Dallas. For tomorrow, you mean? Today. Today, I mean, I don't think Dallas will see any storms today. It's gotten really dark in here. Let's turn on a light at some point. Wow, look at that. The tennis ball sized hail was reported up in Oklahoma here. Colgate. Cole, Oklahoma. Wow. 3-inch diameter hail. Yeah, I mean, that's what we could be looking at if there was no cap in DFW. I mean, that's crazy. Tornado was spotted in... Another tornado was spotted in northern Arkansas. Arkansas is having a day right now with severe weather. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. We'll be live for a little bit longer. Yeah, storms have been trying to break the cap for a while. Again, if anything does develop over the next hour, it'll probably be in this area here. It's kind of where we're looking for maybe a storm or two to develop. At this point, it's been lackluster so far. We haven't seen anything crazy develop. Again, if you have any photos, I did not mean to do that. If you have any photos, make sure to send them in to us on Facebook. Which weather radio do you prefer best? I actually don't use a weather radio in general, so I can't really give you a solid recommendation on that. If you message me on Facebook, I can kind of send you a good one, though, that I've heard good reviews on. Honestly, I don't use a weather radio, so I couldn't tell you, like, can't really recommend I can't recommend one that I would actually use, because I haven't used any before. I use my own weather stuff to look at basically any warnings. Honestly, you should. Anybody that is scared of severe weather, always get a weather radio. I mean, weather radios are definitely beneficial. Beneficial to getting alerts and stuff like that. Yeah, anyone in the watch box area has a chance of severe weather, so that would include Sherman. Have a chance for maybe a severe storm, but kind of looking at the radar right now, nothing crazy. It looks like a little shower maybe developing for Justin, but like right here, that obviously there's a lot of green here. That's just not really rain, but this right here is a little possible shower developing. Other than that, nothing on the radar right now. Hi, I'm new here. What does the cap mean? Hey, Alina, thank you for the 200 stars. I appreciate your support. Thank you. The cap basically is, it's a long explanation. I'm going to make a YouTube video on it sometime in the next couple of days. Maybe even after the stream. But I would like to kind of, thank you, Michael, for being a 3-month supporter. I appreciate it. But I'll kind of make a video on the explanation of what a cap is, because it is a bit of a long explanation. The simplest terms I can give you is it's a warm layer of air in the upper atmosphere, basically like a few thousand feet off the ground, and it prevents clouds from developing in the cold layer. So that's the simplest explanation I can give you. I'll bring up a photo real quick. That might be a little bit easier to explain. This is a photo that was literally just sent in to me, so I'll use this. Make sure everybody can see this. Yeah, okay, let me zoom in a little bit. So here are your clouds, right? This is your cloud area right now. That's just one area, but there's the clouds trying to bubble up and beat the cap. All right, so here's your cold air. Like, this is cold air, right? And then you got a little layer, and it might be only like 100 feet, but here's your little layer, and that layer right there is warmer air. So right here is your it's a little bit warmer than that cold air below. That is your cap. And then anything above this is cold. So basically, that little warm layer is where you're seeing, clouds not develop. Now, earlier today, for example, it was more like, I'll go ahead and erase a lot of this. This is where your cold air, let's go to the photo on the left. Let's just go a little bit more on the left. This is basically earlier today. So here's your cold air. That's where the clouds are developing. And then there's a much larger area of warm air, which was kind of preventing clouds like this from bubbling up. Now, that warm layer is pretty thin now. So again, that's why storms might break through the cap and might, trigger a couple of storms, but still big question. I mean, I don't think we'll see any storms in my opinion, but we might. Never know. That is your photo, Jordan. Yes. Credit to Jordan for sending that in. How's McKinney looking tomorrow? Again, anyone in DFW has a chance for severe weather. I cannot give specific towns details, but if you're under the enhanced risk, which is almost all of North Texas, you have a chance for severe weather tomorrow. You should be on the lookout for maybe some large hail. It's possibly very large hail out of a cell or two. Then maybe an isolated tornado threat. Yeah, weather radios are very good about waking people up, especially when there's a warning. Tornado threat, again, I'm not going to answer this question again because I've said it so many times. A tornado threat in anywhere in North Texas is a 5% chance within a 25-mile radius. It's an isolated chance. That's all you got to know. It's isolated. It's most likely not going to happen for your location. But you should have a plan in place just in case something does happen. Denton is the same way. I'll go, again, if you need a full forecast on what we're looking at tomorrow, make sure to check out one of our recent YouTube videos. It has all the updated information. Anything that I say on this forecast is going to be basically the same thing I said on those. Those are a lot more condensed, so you'll get information a lot quicker. Not to turn down questions or anything. It's just I've kind of gone over it a few times in terms of what to expect tomorrow in the DFW Metroplex. supercells possible between 6 to 8 p.m. Potential for all threats still exists, primarily large hail though. All right, let me go back to see if the METAR information is updated. And it is not. I'm not sure what the actual temperature in Denton is right now. I'll look it up real quick. I'm not sure if the weather app is ever accurate on this, but 85. So has the temperature dropped? A little, actually, okay, so there's a cell that's developed. We've had our first storm, a little storm develop. We had our one little shower develop, and it's all in this little, you know, this stuff isn't showers, but this right here near Highland Village is actually a little shower now that's developed. That's something to watch. But it's not strong, it's not a storm yet, but that's something to watch. We'll have to watch that. It's kind of in between all this stuff, but just developed. So there's now a little bit of, you know, possibility for severe weather tonight. It's very low still, but still exists. A little shower developed there. We'll see if that develops into anything. The cap is still strong, so I mean, it might be hard to come over the cap again, but all right, this is a good little visual. I'll go ahead and pull this up. This was sent in by Jay. Go ahead and show you this real quick. Eugene, thank you for the 200 stars. I appreciate your support. Thank you. All right, here's a visual of what the clouds are doing right now. They're bubbling up, and okay, this is actually an area where a storm was kind of developing right here near Denton. So this is a good visual on, you know, some stuff bubbling up. Here in DFW, there's a strong cap. I mean, there's nothing probably going to happen there right now, but here's an area of where there's some clouds trying to tower up here. Here's the area of where there's storms trying to breach the cap right now. So this is an area to watch here right now in Denton County. So right there is an area to watch. Right here in Denton County. There's also some near Granbury, but down there, maybe a couple of showers trying to develop there. So here in Denton County, we'll have to watch and see if those do break the cap and are able to develop into thunderstorms. We'll watch that very closely, because now we'll probably be live for a little bit longer, because this is going to be something to watch. See if they get over the cap. No, they're not really strengthening very quickly, so that's probably a sign that they're not going to strengthen to supercells, but never know. Yeah, the clouds are definitely growing in Denton County right now. Are expecting the cap to break tonight. Ellie, probably not for most. The cap is starting to weaken, or it's been weakening, but it's the weakest right now, it seems like, in Denton County right now, because more of the clouds are bubbling up there, and they're being able to overcome the cap a bit. So looks like Denton County is kind of in that area where there might be some storms trying to bubble up right now. No problem, Eugene. Appreciate your support. Aubrey, again, anyone in this watched area could have a potential for a storm tonight. It looks like any storms that are developing right now are in this area here. They're trying to develop and overcome the cap. Those would be moving this direction, probably toward areas like McKinney and Farmersville, and maybe just north of Wiley. Yet, if you haven't already and you're new here to our stream, make sure to follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch on either YouTube or Facebook. We are live on both, so whichever one you prefer. I believe YouTube has a bit more of a less delayed stream for some reason, so I'm trying to get a little bit, like 10 seconds up to date more, than you can watch it on there. The watch does end at 9, yes. The severe thunderstorm watch ends at 9. Again, the main threats may be up to baseball-sized hail and damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour if a storm does develop, which at this point we have not seen that yet, but maybe something trying to develop right now, so we'll watch it pretty closely. We're only 15 followers away from 29,000, by the way, so if you have not followed, make sure to follow us here on Facebook for the latest. We'll be keep you updated throughout the evening. We'll be keep you updated tomorrow. Tomorrow's a much better chance of severe weather. Watching tomorrow a lot more closely for you. Starting to watch a couple of little showers develop right now in Denton County, so something to watch. Yeah, Gage just linked it. The stream. Yeah, Aubrey did have a tornado warning the other week. All right, this storm is starting to blow up. Let's not panic, but right now in Denton County, we're starting to see a cell develop here. I just saw it in the update. Yep, there it is. So it's not strong. It's not a thunderstorm yet, but there's definitely a storm starting to strengthen right now near Double Oak. So it looks like a storm is overcoming the cap now in southern Denton County. So this will be something to watch very closely over the next 15 to 30 minutes. This is definitely starting to develop. And also one near Corinth now as well. So a couple of storms here in the county to watch for sure. By the way, if you have any photos of any of these storms that are developing, towering up away from your location, make sure to send them in to us. I want to see if there's any photos that kind of show what is going on right now. Because I really don't have any way to get good photos. But this is an area to watch right now in Denton County. There's a couple of showers now developing. They might blow up into thunderstorms pretty shortly. So the one that is near Double Oak is now strengthening pretty quickly. So that'll be something to watch very closely now. Any threat out of these storms will likely just be large hail. So that's what we're watching for right now out of these cells right now in southern Denton County. Yeah, Jamie, any storms that will have probably just a hail threat. Maybe damaging winds as well. All right, don't click the link, anybody. It's a bot. I don't know why. For some reason now, all of a sudden, since my page is a bit more popular now, I get bots, which is kind of annoying. Apologize for that. Never trust links posted in the chat unless it's has, you know, our page in it. Are we gonna have storm chances for some hours? Yeah, anywhere between now and 9 o'clock. So basically over the next 2 hours, storm chances will be possible. Give me 1 second. I'm turning on a light because it's really dark. Okay, it's not as dark anymore. For me, it was really dark in here. The sun is already set in Florida. Again, if you haven't already, make sure to follow us here on Facebook. I think we're like 10 followers away now from 29,000. I'd really appreciate your support. Also, become a supporter here on Facebook for only $4.99 a month. It would really appreciate it. Helps our page out tremendously. Yeah. Subscribe on YouTube as well if you're on YouTube. Again, the radar will update in a couple of minutes, so we'll be watching this storm very closely. Storms that are now trying to develop in Denton County. These are the only ones that we're watching because they're the only storms developing in North Texas. There you go, Joyce. That's the way to take the proper precautions. Make sure your car's in your garage. Take any loose lawn items, anything that is loose outside, any plants that are in pots. Make sure to just bring them inside. Protect them just in case there's some storms tonight. And looks like the latest radar update, not really strengthening these a whole lot, but this one's kind of starting to grow a bit. Size. Not necessarily strong, so area to watch. I'm getting some more photos, so I'll go to those in just a second. The dry line's already starting to retreat back out to the west, which is early. And bounce houses, yeah, you definitely want to secure those. All right, this is looking toward, let's see. All right, this is looking north. This is a photo that just got sent in to us. So you can see the clouds are trying to build up here. Still not really growing to the height that you would expect them to be with the supercell. I mean, you would probably be seeing them more like up here if there was an actual like storm. So far it's a bit blurry, but you can kind of get the idea that the clouds are trying to bubble up. They haven't been overly successful yet. This was sent in, by the way, by Jane. It's looking north towards 380 from DNT. I'm guessing that's Dallas? Or is that Fort Worth? Might be wrong. You heard about these drones in Dubai that make it rain? I've never heard of that, but that sounds actually kind of cool. All right, here's another one looking towards Denton, looking north towards Denton. So this is from the south side. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit blurry here on Facebook, but not a whole lot that I can see with this, except some clouds. Sun's already starting to set, so I mean, anything that develops would have to be over the next 30 minutes. Otherwise, we're gonna be basically not seeing anything. So now the strongest storm as of right now, it's not a storm, but the strongest cell right now is near Corinth and Little Elm. Trying to develop. They're all trying to develop right now. Not a whole lot of luck yet. Dallas North Tollway, that's what that is. Okay, thank you. Any showers near Louisville yet? As of right now, this is the only area which is pretty close to Louisville. These are the couple of showers that are developing, little storms that are trying to develop right now over the cap. Starting to rain in Northeast Flower Mound. Hey David, how you doing? Long time no see. It was only last night, the last time I saw you. Sorry, I saw that message late. I've run out of water. College problems. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I will go through most of them. Any that are not too repeating from what we've already answered. And again, if you haven't already, make sure to follow us here on Facebook. We are now 13 followers away from 29,000. Subscribe on YouTube as well if you're on YouTube. Appreciate it. Also, you can always go to NTXWeatherCenter.com for the latest severe weather outlooks under the Severe Weather Center tab, as well as our latest updated 7-day forecast and hourly forecast, news stories, all that stuff is on our website. Yeah, whenever I'm looking down, by the way, I'm looking down my phone on Radarscope because it updates a few seconds quicker than software by like 5 seconds. I want to know the information slightly quicker. Wow, the METAR now says it's 54 degrees. I don't think that's right. Is that the... Wow, world happened. That was weird. Alright, here's the latest radar update. So the little cell now near Little Elm, bringing a little bit of rain at least. This is what I would like. I would just like us to just see some rain. But I don't, you know, we might see this develop. Just go into a thunderstorm at some point, so. Yeah, I'll show the radar timing for tomorrow in just a second. I mean, this right here. I honestly, talking to Eugene, I'm not entirely sure what that is. Because it's been on the radar for a while. I'm not really 100% sure what that exactly is. They're showing up a lot in the DFW radar. It might be because the radar beam is a little bit lower. Might be why. They probably have a lower radar beam today to pick up certain things, so it might be picking up some stuff in areas in DFW. Might be some buildings or something like that. Might be what that is. There's also a shower, by the way, nothing crazy, but a little shower near Glen Rose that's developing, trying to develop into a storm as well down there. So far, none of these are successful over the cap. Wow, okay, I didn't even notice this, but there's 2 tornado warnings now in Oklahoma. That's, again, this is part of the severe thunderstorm watch that was issued a few hours ago. A couple of tornado warnings were issued near Colgate, off to the east of there, northwest of Antlers, and this is a couple of tornado warnings. Baseball-sized hail also with those storms. And again, that would be our situation today if it wasn't for our very strong cap. Yeah, but I think that's what it is. The radar beam is probably lower, Eugene. Yeah, it might even be picking up birds, too. I can't tell you the exact answer, but it could be several things that are obscuring the view there. Usually doesn't impact the radar data too much. But yeah, that's currently what's going on. Storms develop into anything. This one near Little Elm is definitely having a little bit of moderate rainfall right now. So, a watch, trying to develop. This seems like the one that might have the most success with developing, since it's a little bit further to the north of the cell near Highland Village. Somebody just messaged me and said the National Weather Service said it was a flock of birds. So, what's going on there in Pelican Bay? Makes sense. And they're around since noon, so I doubt it. Okay, never mind. Well, it might not be a flock of birds then. Possibility. Possibility it was a flock. Do you know if there's going to be severe weather this week in Grapevine? Yeah, there might be a chance for severe weather tomorrow and Wednesday. I saw that, Joyce. Thank you. I'm trying to get more of a view of these storms from like 20 to 30 miles away, kind of like distance photos, so we can kind of see the clouds trying to tower up. Any photos, obviously, I do appreciate. But yeah, going back to that question, severe weather, again, possible tomorrow and as well as Wednesday. Go back a little bit in the stream to the very beginning. and we have a bit of a breakdown of what to expect. Brick. I'll give you an idea of what to expect for tomorrow, as well as Wednesday. Also, we have videos on our YouTube channel that are a bit more condensed. There's now 3 cells that have tried to develop. Okay, so this is getting interesting. I mean, they're trying to break the cap here. 3 cells. We got 1 in Little Elm. Just some rain. We got 1 near Louisville. A little bit of rain. And now 1 near Argyle again. And a little bit of moderate rain. So, they're trying to develop. They're very well trying to develop. I don't know who sent it to me. Was it Jay? Hey, Jay, can you send me the website that you're looking at for those clouds building up from earlier? I'm assuming you're still watching. Which direction is the shower heading? All these showers are moving to the east. Yeah, outbreak tomorrow. It's very possible. We might see a severe weather outbreak tomorrow. But a lot of the storms will be discrete and isolated, so depending on how many storms we see would determine if we actually have an outbreak tomorrow. Not Jane, I said Jay. Sorry. Jay's actually my writer for the website. Okay, I send you a pic. Just message me here on Facebook. Message North Texas Weather Center on Facebook. Or you can email to me at DentonCountyWeather@gmail.com, but I prefer you just messaging me on Facebook. It makes the process a bit easier. Oh, it's a free software. Okay. Wow, look at this. Woo! This is interesting. Here's a look at the clouds. I don't know where this is. I think this is close to... They're definitely developing. You can see them starting to tower up now. Might have broken the cap. This is, I believe, near New Fairview. So this is, like, facing east toward Denton County, basically. What we're looking at right now. Those are the clouds bubbling up right now. So, that's what we're looking at in terms of the clouds bubbling up. And, obviously, again, the cap kind of being broken, it looks like now, in this storm that's trying to develop. Dallas Tollway, looking north. But, okay, never mind. I think I'll probably download it now. I'll download it a little bit later, actually. I'll download it after the stream, but it's, if you can send me another image of what's right now, Jay, I'd appreciate it. Got it. Alright, latest radar update should come in about a minute. I'm gonna probably update I'm probably gonna post something on Facebook here in a second. See what the next radar update shows. Next radar update should be in a minute. Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, anything, always post them in chat. I'll get back to them. Still watching these showers pretty closely. Looks like this one near Argyle and Highland Village is trying to develop. That's probably the one that was on the photo. That one's starting to blow up a bit. So this one near Argyle is definitely starting to grow. I'm going to go ahead and post this on Facebook real quick. Alright, this is, again, shower developing near Double Oak. Probably trying to develop into a thunderstorm right now. See if there's enough time for that to happen. Go ahead and copy this. I don't know why, but Grammarly on Facebook for some reason messes up my posts. I don't know why. Okay, that's posted. I have sprinkles, Jane says. I'm not sure where you are, but... Reporting? Oh, in Frisco. Okay, gotcha. Oh, that's where that's from? Frisco? Oh, yeah. Frisco has a little shower going through. Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. All right, another photo came in, I believe. Coming in a second. Yeah, it looks like the storm near Argyle right now is trying to develop into a thunderstorm, so we're watching this pretty closely right now. In Argyle and no rain. Well, it's the shower right now, it seems like it's just to the east of you. They might not be seeing anything. It depends on also where you are in Argyle, because Argyle is actually a bit of a big town. I used to live in Argyle, so I know. It's actually a little bit larger than what you would think. Sprinkled here in Highland Village twice in the less than 5 minutes, in the last 30 minutes. Oh, I gotcha, yeah. The showers seem to be brief so far, but this one right here is, again, one to watch, because it is starting to strengthen in Denton County. We'll have to watch this one pretty closely right now in Argyle. Let me go back to the... I'm going to look at the lightning maps real quick and see if there's any lightning out of these storms, any thunder so far. And so far, nothing yet. So no thunderstorms yet. And this is, again, Argyle, so this is trying to, again, break the cap right now. Trying to grow. See what happens. There's a bunch of lightning in Oklahoma, though. I mean, if you're like right along the Red River, you might even be hearing it. A couple of tornado warnings in Oklahoma. See it here. Baseball-sized hail. That's what we could be looking at, but we're obviously not looking at that today because it's a strong cap. So yeah, that's what we're looking at as of right now. All right, I got some new photos sent in. Oh, this is actually interesting. Okay, so this will be something to kind of look at. All right, this is the latest photos that we have. And it looks like so far, these two cells, which I'm assuming those two cells there with these like overhanging tops here, those are probably the ones that probably hit the cap and they're not able to grow anymore. And they're weakening. That's probably the ones closer to eastern Denton County. This one still hasn't capped off yet, so this makes me think that this might keep growing. Possibly. So that's near, this one's probably, the one that's growing right here is probably near Argyle. That was sent in by Heather, by the way. Sending that in. Okay, here's the latest of the satellite. Go and pull it up. Sent in by Jay. Again, credit to him for the, well, not really to him, but at least to whatever the software is. I can't remember what it was. It's on the screen. Here's the latest of the cap. Here's Denton County. You can see the storm's blowing up now, or trying to at least. Cap seems to be breaching right now in Denton County. It's also trying to breach down to the south, but it hasn't had any success. You can see not really successful down here to the south near Stephenville. So, again, this is the area that we're watching kind of closely. Even in Sherman, near Sherman, a little area there trying to, you know, develop. Denton County seems like it's had the most success so far. A bit more. Here's the clouds again over the last 30 minutes or so. Trying to develop and maybe bring a storm. That's something to watch. Again, make sure you're watching the weather pretty closely if you're in Denton County, anywhere in the severe thunderstorm watch. Still has a chance here over the next hour and a half or so of any severe weather. It's still possible. Don't let your guard down quite yet. They might not develop, but so far they haven't developed into too much. Moderate rain so far. No thunder or lightning in the storms, right, or in the showers, I should say, in Denton County so far, but trying to develop. Here's another picture from Gainesville. Not going to really show you as much as what the other one showed you, but just another photo. Oh, I just exited out of it. Okay. This is from Eric, by the way. I'll keep showing you photos. Everybody's sending photos now. But here's a look from Gainesville looking southwards toward that storm that's trying to blow up there in Denton County. So far, nothing too crazy on that. If you're trying to send photos, I believe you can just do it through Facebook Messenger. There should be like an attachment button. I think if you're on Facebook on your mobile device, you might be able to send it there. Might be an icon. Running again, Highland Village. Yeah, looks like a bit more of a moderate shower trying to go through there. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. Saw it. Yeah, Osvaldo, how you doing? Trying to send you a photo. Yeah, if you're trying to send me a photo, you can also, I think, attach it here on Facebook. On the live stream chat. Try that too. Should be a way to attach it. Might be like a little like clip button or whatever, like a little like a little clip button. I don't know. Just should look like a clip button where you can just, you know, send it on Messenger. Got it. Okay, cool. All right, here's another photo. This is from Fort Worth, I believe he said. It's another view of it. So again, clouds are trying to blow up here. Seems like some of them kind of got cut off by the cap here. Kind of looked like a face, but looks like kind of like here's where your storms are trying to develop and hitting the cap, and then there's some storms that are trying to breach through it right now. They're trying to go up, so a view of it. Here's your latest radar update, by the way. It's still a shower. It's trying to develop. Has not had a whole lot of success yet. A couple of showers near Glen Rose again, but nothing that I'm concerned about right now. Here's a shower near Sherman, by the way. This is developing. I just showed it a few minutes ago. I said that this was developing on the satellite imagery, and now you can see that it's definitely trying to develop right now in Sherman. Watch out for this if you are in Racine County. It might develop into something. But here's back to Denton County. Also a little shower in Frisco. Another photo. Everybody's sending photos in tonight. Get it. Appreciate everybody that's sending in any photos. If you have any other photos, again, from anywhere, you can always send them in. I'm primarily looking for any photos that are like anywhere like 20 miles or more away from the storm, kind of looking at the storm. They do show the most detail of how they're towering up. This is Plano looking west, by the way. This is pretty interesting. Plano looking west. Yeah, and most of these photos are blurry because that's just how Facebook wants to work on mobile devices. They make it a bit more blurry for the desktop users, so that's kind of what I'm dealing with. But kind of get the general idea. Here's your cloud trying to build up here. Again, the sun sets within the hour, so I don't think anything that develops has to develop over the next 30 minutes, otherwise it won't develop. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at. Again, if might see something develop. The temperature's now down to 84 in Denton, so definitely a little bit lower than before. Oops. Again, if you're new here, make sure to follow us here on Facebook. We are only 12 followers away from 29,000. Would appreciate you following, subscribe on our YouTube channel if you're new. Again, we are live streaming on both Facebook and YouTube. You can choose on which one you want to watch on. So latest writer update, nothing crazy new. Still trying to develop here in Denton County, but not much success quite yet. A little shower near Sanger too, trying to develop. Here's the shower, by the way, in Sherman right now. A little downpour now in Sherman. That's probably going to... That might actually develop into a cell, an actual storm. We'll watch for that. See if this develops into an actual thunderstorm. Still a couple of tornado warnings in Oklahoma. These probably will not reach, to our coverage area. I don't think Paris should be too concerned about this. Make sure you're monitoring it, because I do believe it's moving a bit southeast or southeast, so maybe something to watch, but that won't be entering anywhere close to DFW. The other... Here's another look at downloading a bunch of files on my computer, but it's fine. Here's a little look at the storms develop. Here's again the clouds trying to develop. These clouds have been trying to develop here for a while. These ones definitely look a bit more prominent. Not entirely sure what this is though. I've never used something like this. Cloud tops slowly cooling, but not cooling very fast. Yeah, so the warmer colors, okay, so yeah, I mean, it looks like it's starting to get a little bit brighter here in Denton County. It's trying to, at least. But yeah, the cloud tops aren't cooling that fast, which is, again, kind of another reason why this cap is just kind of holding any of these storms from developing right now. What radar do I use? It's a software. This is what I'm using right now here is a software, which is very expensive. If you want to know what the actual software is, you can message me. It is like hundreds of dollars though per year, so... Mostly for commercial use more than anything, or if you're like really into weather. Other than that, it is pretty expensive, so. If you're just looking for like a radar app that is pretty useful, I would definitely get Radar Scope, which is, I believe, $10 a year or something like that. Or it might even be free. I think I have a free version for some reason. Someone just kind of wanted to give me a free version, so I don't think I pay anything for it. All right, in a minute, we should know the next radar update, see if anything does change with the cell right now near Double Oak in Louisville. No storm out of this yet. Any hail in these storms? So far, no hail reported, and these are not even storms yet, so, I mean, we're not looking at actual thunderstorm yet. It's trying to develop into a storm, though, so this could drop large hail at any time. Going back to the lightning maps, as of right now, no thunder or lightning has been shown here on the map. No thunder yet. Can we see the storm tracks? I mean, there's not really anything to track right now. It's just this one cell that's trying to develop. Unless it becomes, I'll show it if it does actually start to strengthen a bit. But as of right now, there's not a whole lot to track with this. I can track the one that's in Oklahoma, but I don't think that one's going to be a concern here to DFW. Here, or won't be a concern to DFW, maybe to Paris. But here's the latest radar update. So this area, the storm producing maybe some moderate rain near Corinth. And that's basically what we're looking at as of right now. Nothing crazy. And then again, the Sherman shower, it's trying to develop into a storm there near Sherman. Here's another look at that tornado warning. Here's the track of it, by the way, if you're curious. It will not probably reach Paris, but it might go into areas like Clarksville, excuse me, and New Boston. Those might be areas to watch, though, for this tornado warned cell right now. That's moving east-southeast again. I don't think Paris will be in the line for that storm. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in chat. I will be answering those. I don't know. I'll try to put a track on this one, but I don't think I'm going to get... I don't know what the mile-per-hour speed is on this. It won't last any more than like an hour or so. Let's see. Here. Again, the best chance for severe weather will be tomorrow, so, I mean, tonight is just kind of like a prelude to what we'll see tomorrow. Let's just say this is moving 35 miles per hour. This is kind of the track of it. At least the heaviest part of it. Just a shower right now. It probably won't reach Commerce or Greenville or even maybe Farmersville unless it actually develops into a storm. But that's a track for you if you're curious. You're complaining about wind. I mean, it's mainly a hail for tonight and tomorrow. Any storms that develop tonight, which does not look like it's going to be really anything, would be large hail, which could be up to baseball size. But again, doesn't look like that's going to happen tonight. Tomorrow, we will have a much better chance of severe weather, which we'll have a week to 0 cap, so we won't have to worry about, you know, cap it being in place. So storms definitely can develop. No problem, Joyce. But yeah. Then last Monday's storms did move very slow through DFW. I mean, they were going like 25, 30 miles per hour. The one storm that produced like 5 or 6 tornadoes down here in southern DFW, that was producing, that was going much faster. It was going like 40 miles per hour. It's going a lot faster. Time lapse. Okay, Jordan's about to send me something, so I'll see that in a second. 8:23. We'll have another radar update in about a minute. Again, this storm is trying to develop, or shower, I should say, is trying to develop. It might. We'll have to wait and see. Not any success yet, but it's definitely been the most successful cell we've seen in North Texas so far today. Interesting to watch this. All right, here's the latest radar update. Nothing that new. It's still a shower. It's like it's kind of at its peak right now. There's also a storm looking to develop right now southeast of Stephenville. That's new. So that could rapidly develop possibly and get close to southwestern DFW. So something to watch there. Shower near Sherman, not developing into anything. Again, you got your tornado warned storms back out in Oklahoma. Not looking to be much of an impact here in North Texas, though. Also a shower near Salina. Well, storms move quick tomorrow. I believe, I think they're going to move at a pretty similar speed to today, and they're also going to be moving northeast, it looks like, in comparison to what they're doing right now, which they're moving pretty much east. They might be slightly slower tomorrow, actually, than today. Today, they're not even moving that fast. They'll probably be actually a pretty similar speed to today. I think they're moving about 35 miles per hour right now. They'll probably be between 30 to 40 miles per hour. But I could be, 5 miles per hour off from that. But it should probably be right around that range tomorrow. Pretty similar to today. Brain got caught up in Texarkana last week. Wait till past at 4 a.m. before head back to North Texas. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy what we're looking at. Last week was even crazier, but this week, obviously, nothing so far today. All right, so far we haven't seen anything, so if we do see anything, I'll keep you updated here on Facebook. We'll go live again if something does happen, but as of right now, it looks like we'll stay pretty weak. Make sure to follow us on North Texas Weather Center on Facebook and YouTube for the latest. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram for the latest. If you want, and to support us even more, become a supporter here on Facebook for $4.99 per month. Again, we'll keep you updated on Facebook with the latest. If a warning does happen, we'll go live because it's obviously very significant severe weather if something does happen. But as of right now, just some showers out there in northern DFW. As of right now, any storms that do develop will weaken by 9 p.m. So we'll not have to worry about anything beyond that. And yeah, that's about it. Make sure to check out our sponsors as well. Platinum Contracting, best roofing company here in DFW. All Dents Repair, best hail repair company as well here in DFW. Check out Jimmy. Make sure to give him a call. Great guy. And as well as Birdie's Pro Turf. If you need any landscaping needs, give as well Mitch a call. He's a great landscaper there at Birdie's Pro Turf. Make sure to check out again our Facebook for the latest, and as well as our Instagram for the latest updates.